Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session. I'm really excited to be here with you as we begin section 1.2 of our comprehensive guide to data mining. Today, we're going to lay the essential foundation for everything that follows in this course by exploring three terms that you've undoubtedly heard before: data, information, and knowledge. Now, these words get thrown around constantly in meetings, in job descriptions, in articles, but here's the thing: most people use them interchangeably, as if they mean the same thing. They don't. And understanding the profound differences between them isn't just an academic exercise. It's the difference between being someone who just collects numbers and someone who drives real business decisions. So let's start building that foundation right now. So let's get straight to the core question that drives this entire session. What's the real difference between data, information, and knowledge? Look at the slide. These three terms, often used interchangeably in casual conversation, actually represent distinct stages in a value chain. And that value increases dramatically as we move from left to right. Think of it as a journey from raw, unprocessed facts all the way to wise, strategic decisions. At the far left, we have data, which carries low value. In the middle, we have information, which is where we start seeing medium value. And on the right, we have knowledge, high-value insights that enable decisions and actions. Now, here's the key takeaway for this entire course: data mining is the toolkit, the methodology, the engine that helps us enable this transition. It's the bridge that takes us from low-value raw facts to high-value actionable insights. Throughout this session, we're going to climb this value chain together, step by step. Let's begin our journey at the very foundation. Level 1, data. So what exactly is data? In its purest form, data is raw, uninterpreted, and unorganized facts and figures. It's the output of every transaction, every sensor reading, every click on a website, every cash register ring. And on its own, data has no meaning whatsoever. It's just noise, raw material waiting to be shaped. We generally classify data into two broad types. First, we have quantitative data, which is numerical, things like temperature readings, prices, ages, salaries. Second, we have qualitative data, which is descriptive, like colors, categories, names, or grades. Now look at the examples scattered on your screen. 101 blue, 12/5/2023, $45.99. Customer ID, 45,982, grade B. By themselves, these are just symbols floating in space. They're the raw material, the unshaped clay sitting on the potter's wheel. They hold tremendous potential, but not yet any real value. And here's a critical point to remember: organizations collect massive amounts of this raw data every single day, but if it never gets processed, if it never gets shaped, it remains just that raw material with untapped potential. So how do we unlock that potential? How do we add value to all that raw data? We add context and structure. This transformation is what turns raw data into what we call information. And I want you to remember this simple formula because it's going to stick with you throughout your entire data career. Information equals data plus context plus structure. Let me say that again: information is data plus context plus structure. When we take those raw facts and organize them into tables, when we categorize similar values together, when we perform calculations on them, when we add descriptive labels that tell us what each fact represents, we suddenly create meaning. Look at the difference on your screen. 101 is no longer just a random number, it's now product code 101. Blue is no longer just a color word, it's now linked to that specific product as its color attribute. $45.99 is no longer just a dollar amount, it's now the price associated with that specific product. Everything is organized. Everything has relationships. This is information. It's data that has been given shape, placed in a meaningful context, and structured in a way that humans and computers can understand. And as you can see, it's infinitely more useful than a raw list of isolated facts. But we don't stop at information, as valuable as it is. The ultimate destination on our journey is knowledge. And this is where things get really interesting. If information is organized facts, then knowledge is what happens when we add human experience and interpretation to that information. Think of it this way: information tells you what. Knowledge tells you how and why. Knowledge is the ability to synthesize information from multiple sources into actionable insights. Look at the characteristics listed on the screen. Knowledge provides actionable insights, it tells you what to do. Knowledge is synthesized from multiple information sources, it doesn't come from just one data point. And perhaps most importantly, knowledge gives us predictive capability. It helps us anticipate what might happen next. It's not just knowing that sales went up 5% last month. That's information. Knowledge is understanding why they went up, understanding which customer segment drove that increase, understanding what you should do differently next month to continue that trend. This is the high-value asset that drives real strategy and decision-making. This is what organizations are ultimately trying to capture. This progression from raw facts to strategic insight is so fundamental to how we think about data that it's often visualized as a pyramid. You may have heard of this before. It's called the DIKW Pyramid, which stands for data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. Let's walk up this pyramid together. At the very bottom, the broad foundation, we have data, the raw facts, the unprocessed observations. The next level up is information, where we've added context and structure to that data. Above that is knowledge, where we gain actionable insights by interpreting that information. And at the very top, the peak of the pyramid, is wisdom. Now, wisdom is something special. Wisdom is evaluated understanding combined with strategic judgment. It's knowing not just what to do, but why it's the right thing to do, and understanding the long-term implications of those decisions. It's the difference between analysts who can report on sales trends and an executive who can steer an entire company based on those trends. For our purposes in this course, we're going to focus primarily on mastering the journey from the bottom to the knowledge level. But it's important to understand where we're ultimately heading, because that context gives meaning to everything we'll learn. This brings us to the star of our show, the reason we're all here, data mining. So how do we actually make this climb up the DIKW Pyramid? How do we move from data to information to knowledge, especially when we're dealing with data sets that contain millions or even billions of records? We can't do it manually, it would take lifetimes. This is where data mining comes in. Data mining is the process that discovers hidden, valid, and actionable patterns in large datasets. Let me break that down. Think of data mining as a powerful engine, a sophisticated machine. The input to this engine is raw data, all those millions of records we talked about. The processing involves sophisticated algorithms that analyze relationships, identify correlations, and uncover patterns that we as humans would never see with the naked eye. And the output is structured patterns and insights. Things like customers who buy X also buy Y, or this segment of users is 10 times more likely to churn. But here's the critical point I want you to remember. The machine doesn't create knowledge by itself. It creates patterns. It generates insights. But it's then the job of the analyst, it's your job to interpret those results, to add the human element of experience and context, and to finally transform those patterns into true, actionable knowledge. Data mining accelerates this process dramatically, but it doesn't replace human judgment. The machine finds the needle in the haystack. You're the one who decides what to do with that needle. Now, when I talk about tools that help us do exactly this, that help us move from raw data to actionable knowledge faster and more efficiently, I want to take just 90 seconds to tell you about something that's been an absolute game changer in my own data workflow. It's a platform called Fenot, and I'm genuinely excited about it because it solves so many of the friction points that we as data professionals deal with every single day. You know, tools like Power BI and Tableau, right? Powerful visualization tools that we all love. Well, Fenot is in that family, but with a powerful twist that makes it uniquely suited for data mining. It's an end-to-end analytics and data visualization platform that's completely browser-based. Let me tell you why that matters. It means you can go from raw, messy data sitting in a CSV file or an Excel spreadsheet all the way to interactive insights and beautiful visualizations without ever switching between a dozen different applications. No more exporting from one tool and importing into another. No more context switching. Everything happens in one place. Here's where it gets really cool for data mining specifically. Fenot lets you design complex data workflows on a visual canvas. You literally just drag and drop components to build your entire data pipeline from start to finish. You can bring in data from Excel, CSVs, JSON, Parquet files, or connect directly to databases. And the magic happens right there on the canvas. But here's the part that really blew me away the first time I used it. Fenot automatically creates PostgreSQL foreign tables from your files the moment you upload them. What does that mean for you? It means you can query everything instantly with SQL, no waiting, no complicated setup. Then, right there on that same visual canvas, you can apply transformations, run aggregations, join datasets, and yes, generate beautiful charts like bar graphs, line charts, box plots, and more. You can literally watch your data transform from raw input to polished visualization in real time. Think of it this way. Fenat combines the visualization power of Tableau with the workflow capabilities of dedicated data integration tools, all in one unified platform. It's like having a complete data lab in your browser. If you're ready to try it, and I really hope you will, the best part is that it's completely open source. It's free, it's community-driven, and it's waiting for you. Just check out the link that's on your screen or in the video description below, github.com/debo@/fenat. Go there, clone the repository, and get started today. I promise you, it'll change how you think about data workflows. Alright, with that tool now on your radar, let's get back to our content and see everything we've been talking about come to life with a concrete example. Let's bring all of these abstract concepts down to earth with a classic example that many of you may have heard before, the famous grocery store example. This perfectly illustrates the entire journey from raw data to strategic action. Let's walk through it step by step. It starts with data. Look at that first line, a single transaction record showing that customer 54,321 made a purchase at 5:30 p.m. and bought 4 items: milk, bread, diapers, and beer. That's it. Raw, simple facts. Nothing special yet. Just another transaction among thousands. Now, imagine we aggregate and analyze thousands and thousands of these transactions. We run reports, we look at trends, and we turn that massive mountain of data into information. That information might look something like this: diaper sales increased by 5% this month. That's a useful piece of business intelligence. It tells us something happened. But notice it doesn't tell us why. It doesn't tell us what to do about it. It's information, but it's not yet strategy. This is where data mining enters the picture. By running what's called a market basket analysis, a classic data mining technique that looks for items that frequently appear together in transactions, the algorithm uncovers a hidden pattern. And that pattern creates knowledge. The knowledge is this: customers who buy diapers between 5 and 7 p.m. are highly likely to also buy beer. Now we have something actionable. Now we understand not just what happened, but the relationship between products and time of day. And this knowledge enables a strategic action. What can the store do with this insight? They can place a beer display near the baby aisle. They can run targeted promotions during that 5 to 7 p.m. evening time slot. They can train cashiers to suggest beer to customers buying diapers. They can even adjust inventory levels to ensure beer is well stocked during those hours. That's the power of moving up the hierarchy. The store didn't just collect data. They didn't just generate reports. They mined their data to create knowledge that directly drives sales, improves customer experience, and increases profitability. This is why we do what we do. So as we wrap up this session and prepare to dive deeper into the technical aspects of data mining in the coming weeks, I want to leave you with these key takeaways. Please write these down because they will serve as your foundation for everything that follows. First and most importantly, data, information, and knowledge form a hierarchy. They are not the same thing. Recognizing the distinction between them is fundamental to thinking like a data professional. Second, data alone has little meaning without context. Raw facts are just that, raw. They're the starting point, not the destination. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that collecting more data automatically creates value. Third, information organizes data into meaningful structures. When you add context, when you create relationships, when you organize facts into tables and categories, you create information. And information is valuable. Fourth, knowledge enables decisions and strategic action. Knowledge comes from adding human interpretation and experience to information. It's what allows you to move from what happened to what should we do about it. And finally, data mining accelerates the discovery of useful insights. It's the engine that helps us climb the DIKW Pyramid faster and more efficiently. It doesn't replace human judgment, it amplifies it. Keep these principles in mind as we move forward. They'll guide you through every algorithm, every technique, and every project you'll encounter in this course. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in the next session.